Let's do this. Body and mind. Let's do this. Welcome back. Welcome to my channel, Overthinking with Dima. This is my second video, and this time we're going to talk about body and mind, and basically the relationship between body and mind, and how it's absolutely necessary for you to be able to be in control of body and mind. The truth is, in this day and age, you don't really have a choice. You can either be, back then you could be a jock, you could be a preppy guy, you could be all muscles and be the star playing football at school and high school and stuff like that. And then on the other side, you had the nerd, and they had their engineering club or tech club and all sorts of stuff. And you were basically kind of classified that way. And I think people still are doing it like this back in high school. But the truth is, as you're going to leave high school, you're going to leave uni, and sooner or later you're going to end up finding a job or starting your own business. And what's going to happen is you really don't have a choice. You have to be both. You have to be a very good looking guy, and at the same time you have to be a nerd. You have to be a geek. Globalization has made it so that you have to be on top of your game all the time, constantly. And so if you're a nerd, guess what? If you've been kind of like a tech guy, if you've been a nerd, if you've been really wasn't a sports person when you were a kid, you won't have any other choice but to get into the gym, to start working out your body, to start, conserving your body, start developing your body the way it's supposed to look like. And then if you've been a very physical guy ever since you were a child, you won't have any choice but to be on top of your game mentally, right? And that's what we're going to be talking about. Because as a man now, in 2023, you do not have a choice. You do not have a choice because the world will keep judging you. You do not have a choice because the world is not going to stop for you, for anyone whatsoever. You do not have a choice because your competitors have choices, right? And then the ladies that you're trying to impress also have choices. They don't need to put in as much work, believe it or not. They don't. And so the truth is, again, you need to be able to find a path that has to complement your other side. So as for me, I was never really into the gym. I started going to the gym maybe 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, right? You need to, if you're on the muscle side, physical side, you need to find a path into the intellect, whatever passions you, whatever is your passion. Passions you? Whatever passionates you, I think. And then if you're on the intellectual side, you need to bridge the gap. Either way, there needs to be a crossover, straight up. You don't have a choice, again. Realize that. The sooner you realize that, the better. As for me, I started going to the gym. I'm definitely from the intellectual side. I came from there. When I was a kid, I did judo when I was a child. Then I stopped. I came back to Côte d'Ivoire, and then I did chess a little bit. I didn't like it, and I regret not pushing it. I did a little bit of piano. I was very not physical. I hated sports, right? I really wasn't a sports guy. So I only started going into the gym maybe 2.5 years ago. And it drastically changed my life, really it did. What else? Before going to the gym for 2.5 years, I did Muay Thai for 3 years. Because again, like I said in the previous video, I had this genuine obsession with masculinity. And I figured out that in order for me to understand what it is to be a man, I have to be in pain. I just have to be in pain. And that's pretty much what I did. I did 3 years of Muay Thai. It was an absolute pain. My coach was super patient with me. And then I basically couldn't afford getting a gym membership as well as Muay Thai classes. So I gave up on the Muay Thai because I did want to change my body a little bit. And so I decided basically to go to the gym full time. So last year though, I started judo, which is another sort of pain. It's not as painful as Muay Thai, clearly, because you're not like fighting with your bones. You're more like exerting force for brief periods of time. Because it's like the moment you manage to get I'm a yellow belt, by the way, just in case. So the moment you get your opponent slightly unbalanced, you have to exert a lot of force to like bring him down. So it's very tiring. Also, I'm not as flexible as I thought. So judo is doing this is really hurting me. What else? I also took a break on judo, and I'm gonna start in July. I'm gonna get back in July, because like I said, I was in a period where I just couldn't do anything. I just wanted to focus on finding a few solutions for my problems. So I had to go from intellect to muscles. Some of you are gonna have to do the same path. Some of you are gonna have to do the other path. So. Let me give you an example of why you need to be on top of your game for both. I'm an economist, and I have colleagues who are not economists. I have colleagues who work on communications, politics, and businesses and things like that. And what happens is when there is pressure at work, stress tends to build up. It's only normal, right? It's only normal. So stress tends to build up, and then throughout the day or throughout the week even, as it builds up, you can tell that people are starting to be a little bit more frustrated with each other, right? So the boss takes a huge dump on you, you take a huge dump on somebody else. Avoid it if you can, but it's going to happen. Your colleagues take a huge dump on you, and then you dump on other people, and it's kind of a mess. You have to kind of navigate that way, right? And I have this colleague, therefore, who has a hard time evacuating this level of stress. Let's call it that way. He has a hard time doing that. And so what happens at the end of the day is basically the boss dumps on him. He goes home and starts yelling at his kids. He has one child just recently. So he starts yelling at his wife, and he's starting to have problems with his wife. And then the next day he comes to me telling me, oh my God, bro, my wife's this, my wife that. And it's like, he's a good guy, right? So I'm not married, and I'm single. And I'm not gonna be the guy that's like, dude, I don't know why you're talking to me about your wife. It's not my problem. I've never been married. I'm not married. Why are you telling me about that? I can't be that guy. So I listen to people, and sometimes I let them vent. Sometimes I don't let them vent because, I also have a life. With his wife and stuff. And it's like, don't you realize it's just every time you come from home that you're just dumping on your wife? First of all, it's lame because it's not her fault. Why are you screaming at your wife? It's your wife. You chose her. So to some extent, it's your fault. It's always going to be your fault. And you need to take responsibility from that. You need to find a way to stop getting as frustrated and then evacuate the stress and this frustration on your loved ones. It's messed up. It's really messed up. And so I told him, look, you need to go to the gym. You need to go to the gym. You have to do that. He didn't really listen to me. But I know for a fact, and he knows for a fact, that if he had gone to the gym, his relationship would have been better. And his relationship has improved with his wife because he got a new job, he moved on from where we are right now, and he's doing much better. But the truth is, all of this could have been avoided if he was more masculine about it. And what is being more masculine about it is basically avoiding, being able to integrate, being able to absorb the stress, and then evacuating it away. Do you understand? Away from the people you love. So what I do, I moved out last year. I moved out almost last year. It'll be a year in July. So that means I used to live with my parents. So when I lived with my parents, I used to still go to the gym, and I would get, just like everybody else, have some stress build up. And then with the stress build up, I would go to my parents and I would, kind of be a bad son, just be annoying, not saying hi, going straight back into my room and doing my shit. But when I started going to the gym, guess what? I'm frustrated. I go into the room, I go into my house, I say hi to everybody, I go upstairs, I change, get out, get back in my car, and go straight to the gym. And by the time I come back, I am completely in control of my mind and my body. That's what I mean by this notion of being able to be in control of your body and your mind and the relationship between the two. If you manage to know how to evacuate stress, whether from your body, whether from your mind, things tend to be a lot calmer and you seem to be in far more control than usual. And I want you guys to really take this seriously, because the truth is, it's genuinely the foundation of being a man. Being a man is remaining stoic in front of everyday bullshit, everyday missiles, bullets, grenades, all sorts of arrows you can get during the day. Is the ability to take it and absorb it, evacuate it somewhere else, however, with a hobby, with something productive, and making sure that the people who are around you, especially your loved ones, don't take the blame for something that has happened to you. Now, if your wife or your girlfriend comes home and she wants to scream at you, again, it's a problem, right? But it's much worse when you do it. If you come home and you start screaming at your wife, come home, you start screaming at your fiancée, your girlfriend, your daughters, your son, and anyone in the house, the servants, the maids, and stuff like that, it's a low blow. It shows that you're not genuinely in control of your body. Oh, something affected you and now you're mad and now you're... Dude, calm down. Okay. But you need to be able to evacuate. Find an evacuation mechanism, essentially. Now, I'm going to suggest the gym, but I'm also going to suggest reading. I'm also going to suggest coming up with some sort of routine that helps you calm down so that you don't also damage others. Simple as. You got to think about this one thing. Let me take another sip. You got to think about this thing. We're men, right? When you go to work, regardless of your job, whether you're an economist, a plumber, a banker, a lawyer, doctor, electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, it doesn't matter. What you effectively do is that you wage war against the world. And then you earn your paycheck, right? Whether it's every 2 weeks or every month or it depends. You wage war, you prove yourself, and then you come back. And what people need to understand, especially the women around you, they don't understand sometimes that you're actually two different people almost. It's you when you're outside at work. Guess what? You're in genuine competition mode. It's you versus the world. You and maybe a few of your colleagues versus the world, trying to close this deal, trying to talk to this minister, explaining this program and blah, blah, trying to do this thing, trying to convince somebody of this deal, trying to be a salesperson, essentially. People who say they're not salesperson, I have really bad news for you. You need to learn, right? You need to learn. Understand that you have to be a salesperson or you're never going to get anything done. You go full-on aggressive mode outside, but when you're at home, guess what? You are the son to your father, your mother. You are the boyfriend. You are the husband. You're the fiancé. You are the friend. You could be the roommate. And there is literally no transition between the aggressive world, the place where you become aggressive, where it's okay for you to be aggressive, and the place where it's like you're okay to play another sort of role. The nurturing guy, the protective father, the provider, the type of guy that's understanding, listening, funny, humorous type of guy. And there is no transition. Maybe your transition is your commute back home. It's not really a transition, right? If anything, on the way back home, there's so many retarded people on the road. Some cop stops you because he saw you on your phone or something, and then boom, voila, they take your money, and then that's it. So there isn't really a transition, and that's why personally, I like to go to the gym after work, right? Some people like to go to the gym before in the morning. I mean, guys, respect, straight up. But there is an extra function of going to the gym after work is the ability to really process this transition. Unless you come home and you lock yourself up in the room and then you start playing video games. I really don't suggest that one, right? It happens, I've done it. But I really, really don't suggest that one, right? Go home, say hi to your people, go to the gym, come back, take your protein shake, be Gucci, and then relax. Now you can hang out. Now you've gone through this transition. You've shed all the nonsense, that keeps happening in your life, that they've been throwing at you, all the bullets and all the stuff. You're unfazed, essentially. Andrew Tate said that, right? You're unfazed. You're good. And guess what? Tomorrow, you're going to do the same thing. From the other point of view, meaning if you're from the body side, meaning you've always been a physical person, what you need to do in order to remain balanced is to kind of do activities on the other side of the spectrum. Mind, right? On the mind side. For instance, I like to pray. I like to read a lot. So I've made a decision. I need to read a book a month. I don't care. Whatever it is, I need to read it. Clearly, I'm not reading, I'm not reading mangas, although I am. I need to catch up on Berserk and Vagabond and JoJo. But by reading, I mean genuine books. Next week I'll be talking about the relationship essentially between body and mind, which is Sun and Steel, by Yukio Mishima, I think. Excellent book. But you need to drag yourself there, dude. If you're active all the time, dude, sit down. 2 hours. Read something. Go and pray. Listen to a message. Watch a documentary. Do something that makes you think. Maybe write something. That's really good. Writing, thinking, speaking, they're all linked. And at some point, if you know how to write, you also know how to think. And if you know how to think properly, you also know how to critically think. But we're going a little too far. Find yourself an activity that allows you to be balanced. Because that's what it is to be a man. It's like, it's not the jack of all trades. It's not to be the jack of all trades. It's to be it's to be Superman. You don't have a choice. You really don't. You really don't. Being a man is about being in control of the self. It's about stoicism. But it's not the type of stoicism like people like to yeah, I'm a stoic person, but they've just come up with rules. I've been that guy. Just come up with rules and rules and rules, and it's like, oh, these are all the things I can't do, and now you can't move. That's the problem. Stoicism, if you apply it the wrong way, it becomes self-tyranny. It becomes some alter ego that's always better than you. It's good to have a target that's yourself. But if the alter ego is so much better than you, to the point where you can't even do anything, that it becomes self-tyranny, right? You need to be balanced. You need to be, because being balanced allows you, is the position where you're the most likely to be in control of yourself. You see something that irritates you, you chill. You see something that annoys you, You see something that's funny, but maybe it's not the right time to laugh, don't laugh. Okay. You chuckle, move on. Giggity. You move on. You see somebody who said something extremely rude to you. Okay. You're like, oh, okay. Unfortunate you said that. Move on with your life, right? You see something that needs an intervention, but maybe it's not appropriate for you to intervene at this moment. Hey, you approach the guy, you approach the lady, and you're like, hey, can I talk to you? Can I talk to you later? And then, hey, I didn't think what you did was appropriate at this time. Or you could just simply ignore it, right? Like the power to not give a fuck. I think that's a superpower of mine. To absolutely just not care and just be like, you know what? Move on. That's also stoicism. Just being like, sometimes it just doesn't need correction. Not only it doesn't need correction, but it doesn't need my correction. This attitude and this capacity to evacuate stress is really what I mean by this relationship between body and mind. It's like a strong mind will always end up leading to a strong body, and a strong body will eventually lead up to a strong mind. It's not guaranteed, right? But you need to be able to vacillate between the two. So yeah, that's the message. I hope you like it. Next week I'll be talking about Sun and Steel. It's an amazing book. I think I'll reread it a little bit to prepare. And then that's it. All right, peace.